Hi everyone. Uh, Today we'll talk about privilege modes, privilege levels on the router. Basically, it's like think of it like a role-based access on the routers. By default, everyone has full access. Everyone is the super user, but that's not a good security practice. So what we'll do is covering up the, we'll be assigning some roles to the users and we'll see how their access works. But before that, let's talk about the modes. What exactly means is the meaning of is does mean the modes. So before we start about the privilege, what exactly is the meaning of privilege on to a router? We need to understand the router modes. They're very simple. There are three kinds of mode. One is a user mode, which means that as soon as you log in to the router, you will get this sign which references as that you are in a user mode. In this particular mode, you can run the basic commands like ping telnet commands, shutdown, exit. Sorry, not shutdown, but exit and help. And the next mode is called as a privilege mode. For that, you have to switch the from when you run this command, you will be asked a password. That password is configured on the router by the administrator. And when you are in the privilege mode, basically you will see the sign as, I mean, this is the command to switch to from user mode to privilege mode, and the sign will change to this. Once that is there, what you can do is that you can go into the global configuration mode, where you will be running the router specific commands about protocols. And this is a command where you can actually play around and configure the router. The difference between all uh, will be shown, but in the privilege mode I can just tell that you can run the basic commands like show, and you can also save the configuration. And in the global configuration mode, you can actually configure the router. um, so in the global configuration mode, there are actually two more modes. One is an interface mode, where you configure the IP address to a particular physical port of the router. And there is a line configuration mode, which is about configuring the VTY lines and the console access, like I told you about in the previous example. How do we configure telnet and SSH is only when we have configured the VTY lines, which is actually the management plane. So this particular part is part of the global configuration mode. And the privilege level is, like I said, is nothing but it's limiting the user access for security hardening. It lets you define what commands users can issue after they are logged into the network device. So by default, not by default, but Cisco routers have 0 to 15 levels of privileges. By default, only three levels of privileges are configured: 0, 1, and 15. And the super user is a level 15. So as soon as you log in, you are the super user and you have the access to the entire router. 0 allows you to run the basic five commands: log out, enable, disable, help, and exit. One privilege mode is basically it's a read-only access, and here you can just run the show commands. Um, um, Over here in the super user, like I said, you can run everything. Rest levels between 2 to 14 can be customized, and where you can define your permissions as per the user to access the router. Important thing to remember over here is that higher the level, the backward is the compatibility, which means that any level defined adds the value, um, any next level basically defined um, adds the value defined in the previous level. So level 15 basically supports all the backward levels from 1 to 0 to 14. So let's say if I define in level 3, I define show IP interface, and then level 2 I have configured show users, so level 3 will have show users also. So let's do the practical for that and see how it goes. My network I have already shown you, but let me just show you again. This is router. These are the two routers connected to a switch. This one is 10.0.0.2, this one is 10.0.0.1, and from here we'll just try it from our R4. Basically we'll try to do a telnet and see the user access. So this is my router, this is R1, and let's do I'll just at present I'll just show you the configuration. I say show IP interface brief. I have this is the IP configuration which is already configured. Um, let's go to the configuration, global configuration mode. Let's configure a user. I'll say a username. That would be let's take any name. What name should I say? Let's say Zora is the name. I'll give it a password. I want it to be encrypted, so I'll say Zora, same as the password. And I'll configure the line VTY because I will make 5 ports open, and I'll say login local. So I've configured the user, I've assigned the password, I've opened up the virtual lines. Login local means that the username and password will be asked once Zora tries to log into this particular box. Now let's assign the permissions basically. So I'll exit. I'll come back to the mode. This mode is, as I said, is a global configuration mode. Over here, I'll just say privilege. I'll say privilege. Let's say privilege. Sorry, execute privilege. Sorry, yeah, executive. Execute basically. It meant let's configure level 5. Um, over here, I'll say at level 5, show IP interface FACE brief. Cool. Now let's assign. This is a rule or the instruction, execution instruction I've defined on level 5. Now let's assign level 5 to the user, in our case, Zora. So I'll say username, which is ZORA, privilege, level 5, secret, ZORA, done. So we'll just see I'll just show you the running configuration. Sorry for the delay. And you would see that um, Zora is the user, privilege is configured as 5, secret is the most secure one, like in the previous video I showed you. Type 7 is for password, type 5 is for more encrypted mode, which cannot be decrypted by any means. And I'll also show you the privilege mode, what all can be done. So if you look at 5, it supports the previous levels, which means that all the show commands can also be run. And in this particular case, we are trying to look at this command for user Zora. Let's come back to our guy, the other machine, and I'll show you the IP address. Show IP interface brief. This guy is connected 10.1.1. Ping works fine. Let's do a telnet 10.1.1, and yep, I'll say ZORA, ZORA, and I'm in. Now let's come run the command show IP interface brief. Yeah, I can do that. All the show commands would work basically. So users show TCP brief. Yeah, But let's say if I try to go to the next mode, which is a global configuration mode, does it work? I say global configuration terminal and it doesn't recognizes that command. So this is the power of assigning the roles. Now let's come back to R3, sorry, our basic, the first router. Let's come back to the configuration and let's try to give level, just elevate, just add more one more command where we will where we will ask where we will add a command in level 5, execute level 5, and over here I'll say all the level 5 guys can configure terminals. And can I just do that now? Yep, I can do that. So let's remove the privilege. If we come back, I'll say no, it's gone. Let's come back. I'll say exit. Let's try to do that again. No, it doesn't recognize it. So you can clearly see that once you assign a role, the user will function accordingly. So um, how do I check what all roles, what all privileges have been assigned? So on the router where you have configured, one way is that you run running configuration. The other way is that you run the command which says show run sec um, section privilege pri. Oh, sorry, I'm in the configuration mode. I'll come out. I'll say show run no pipe. Mhm. Sorry, my box is slow. Thank you. Show run, and I'll just say pipe section privilege. And you would see what user is at what permissions. So you will see all the guys on level 5, users on level 5s can run these commands. You can also say show privilege. So this one is a root user, but if I come here and I say show privilege, I can't run because I am not allowed to do so because I have removed all the commands from here. So show, and I say exit. Let's say telnet, and I'll say ZORA, and I say show privilege. It doesn't understand. Probably it does. So it says I'm at level 5. Um, yep. So you can understand the difference now. What can be done with the users. Thank you.